Hello and welcome to the When You're Podcast, the podcast for when you're doing anything. Today we're going to be talking about when you're watching Obi Wan Kenobi, the new Disney Plus series. Um, I, like a lot of people, am a big Star Wars fan. I'm not going to say big. I mean, there's a lot of Star Wars fans, and a lot of them know more than I do, or really go really full nerd onto it, and I'm a fan of it. I really love the franchise. I love what the story builds on and how somebody can create all that. It's the same thing I feel about Harry Potter or Marvel. Just one person can create something so unique and interesting and entertaining and fun. I think that's so cool. And so I feel that way about Star Wars. And I think it's such an amazing story that has been told through the decades. And so I just kind of want to talk about the Obi-Wan series. I thought it was good. It wasn't perfect. Uh so I knew it wasn't going to be perfect after the first episode. After I watched it, I was just kind of like, yeah, I know about to go down because spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus, don't listen to this. Go watch it. Go, and get your own opinions of it. But after the first episode, surprised that they did a 10-year time gap between the events because I was just like, a whole lot of story. That's a whole lot of chunk that they cut out, you know what I mean? And I thought that was really that's a huge chunk of time. But it's also been a long time since Ewan McGregor played Obi-Wan, and I think it was a smart decision, I guess. I don't think that's something that I got over pretty quickly, and that I didn't really feel like mattered all that much. But after the first episode, I was just kind of like not disappointed, but I was just kind of like, okay, this is gonna be something that I didn't expect. This is gonna be something completely different than I had anticipated or thought it was going to be, and that I think a lot of fans thought it was going to be. Because I thought it was just going to be kind of like, I didn't expect Leia to be a part of it at all. I thought it was going to be Obi-Wan trying to help people and do the right thing and go on adventures and try to um, protect Luke on the planet. But it turned out to be something completely different. It was just one mission and one mission alone. And he was hesitant. He didn't want to do it. And I thought, given the situation that he's in, it makes sense, you know? And so, one of the things that a lot of people had issue with was the Reva character. And I didn't mind her. I just thought it was weird that towards the last episodes, it got really weird for her and her character. So, I'll come back to that later. But I did like, how they pushed Obi-Wan to kind of reveal his nature, how it's changed so much, how what happened 10 years ago still affects him to that day. It changed his whole outlook on everything. He's no longer helping people. He's putting his all of his hopes into one kid, to one person whose uncle or father figure doesn't even want him to do, and for good reason. The last time he trained somebody, it didn't end well. And there was something so. It was so good to see Ewan McGregor back. And I think because of everything that I understand Obi-Wan Kenobi to be, or I like about him, is why I stayed invested and why I really cared about this character and why I watched the whole series. And when it finally gets to the point where Leia gets kidnapped and the Inquisitors want Obi-Wan to reveal himself so he can get captured and do all this other stuff, I didn't think Obi-Wan and Darth Vader were ever going to cross paths. I thought it was just going to be Obi-Wan having to fight the Inquisitors and push through, and then Darth Vader gets wind of it, and then he just kind of tries to look for him, but to no avail. But by the first two episodes they give us, it was made very clear that this wasn't going to be what I thought it was going to be. I thought that Leia was kind of annoying at first, but then, she kind of proves herself later on down the line, and there's an emotional attachment there that I like. I don't think I really, really liked the way it took so long, or the way that Obi-Wan found out that Darth Vader was, or Anakin was still alive as Darth Vader. I thought it was really, really weird that it was explained to him in that way. And especially after 10 years, I thought that was pretty crazy that Reva was the one who was like, yeah, he's alive. And I was just like, how does she know? What's going on here? And of course, it got explained later on. And it was just like, it felt weird. I thought it would have been better if he felt it, if it was like in the Force, but it wasn't. And that was kind of something that I wish could have been done a little differently. But the third episode is where I really was invested in the show. By the third episode, I was like, this is it. This is what I wanted to see. I was so impressed with it because I never thought that Darth Vader and Obi-Wan were going to cross paths until A New Hope. Because I just didn't think they were going to do it. But they did. And that's what was so cool to me. I really loved the line when they meet up and he looks at him with his lightsaber. And he gives him that stare, that scared but like sad and also horrified. He's just like, what have you become? And Darth Vader goes, I am what you made me. And that immediately sold me on the rest of the show. I was like, I have to watch more of this. All of that was so perfect to me. I thought that was just genuine hate. He was really like, this is who I am. This is what it's all about, This is who I am now, and I hate you, and I'm going to kill you. And it was really apparent in that moment during that fight sequence how much Obi-Wan sucked. How much he was just like not equipped at all to, one, train Luke, and two, to handle his own, to be the Jedi Knight he used to be. And it was really, really, it was such a shift, because when they first fought when they fought in Revenge of the Sith, you're just kind of like, man, this is them at their prime. That's them at their elite. At least to me, that's them at their strongest, And now that 10 years have gone by, the playing field has definitely changed now. Darth Vader, while he's not in his prime, is still a lot stronger than Obi-Wan in that moment, simply because he's given into the dark side and he's fully committed to being this one version of himself, while Obi-Wan has just kind of weakened down. He hasn't been training, not doing nothing. He's scared. He doesn't want to face Anakin. He thought he died. It's like he's seeing a ghost, And now he has to confront his past. He has to confront what was and the things that he feels he's responsible for in a way that he didn't the last time. The last time it was just confrontation and trying to stop the Sith from achieving their goals. And when he failed, the world never changed. The world changed for the worse. The world just got all complex, and he had to hide himself and be something he's not. Be someone who works a terrible job. Be somebody who's not proud or strong or peaceful. He can't be at peace knowing that Darth Vader is out there and he's being, that Anakin is out there being evil. It's just, how can you? Especially when it's somebody that you really cared for. Now, for the fourth episode, I thought it was all right. I compared to the last episode, it wasn't anything extremely special. And then episode 5 and 6 were really good closing episodes. I thought they did it very well. I thought bringing Hayden Christensen back as Anakin Skywalker, and they do a little, they do that little sequence when they're fighting each other. I thought it was really, really fun. I thought it was so cool to see them back in action and being themselves, in their former glory, back in the good old days. I thought that was so cool. And the parallels in the story between that fight and to where they are now, and how Darth Vader really hasn't grown out of the shell of the Padawan he used to be. He's still clinging on to some of the emotions and the not perfect part of himself he could be. He could always be better, but he wants to win. He wants to kill Kenobi. He wants to make him suffer the way he suffered on Mustafar. And Obi-Wan is a lot more level-headed. He's a lot smarter, and he has a lot more to lose. And he has to fight to protect the people and to protect Leia, so that way he can never find out that he has 2 children that could oppose him. And if he does, they're dead. Now, towards Reva's characterization, this is where things get a little complicated for me, because it was just like, so she had to become an Inquisitor and do a lot of bad things just so she could kill Darth Vader. But when the time came, she really didn't really do it. She wasn't all that good. I don't think the amount of bad she did justifies the good she would have done to stop Darth Vader, to kill him. It's just like, why not just try being good, and do good things and be somebody, you could be proud of, for the other younglings that died that day. And I just thought that was so weird. I thought it was also weird how she lived that lightsaber stabbing, and how the other Inquisitor came back to life, and there was just like no explanation for it. It was just, yeah, I'm back alive, and you're gonna rot in the gutter where we found you. I was just like, what in the world is going on here? Qui-Gon Jinn got stabbed once, and he was done. He was gone. He's dead. And these people survive literal stabbings from the lightsaber, and I don't see any blood. Nobody's like dying. I thought it was so weird. And then the next episode, Reva's like chasing after Luke. Like, she just got stabbed. She crawls to the holocron. She sees the message about the boy. She goes to the planet. She chases. She runs to the home. She gets shot at. She fights. She chases him. I just thought it was so crazy how she literally got stabbed by a lightsaber. You don't get to survive that. But, that's just how it happened, I guess. I thought it was really weird. And now, I think it was really, I also thought that the fake Jedi was kind of weird. But I also understood it. People would take advantage of the good Jedi name just to make some money. I thought that was really, that was realistic, and like, it makes sense to me that somebody would do that. Now, for the final episode, the most important thing to me, the thing that I loved the most, was the final interaction between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. I mean, who doesn't love that moment? That moment is just, that is really, really good. It's nostalgic. It had everything you wanted. It got callbacks to old moves when Obi-Wan does his pose, when he says the same thing he did in Revenge of the Sith, when Darth Vader kind of crumbles Obi-Wan down and like he has the high ground. I thought that was cool. When he cuts his face, his mask, and you see half of his face, like in Star Wars Rebels, that happens as well. And you kind of understand why he gets that cut on his head from Return of the Jedi. When he takes off his mask and you see that cut, that's from Obi-Wan as well. And I was just like, man, he just cannot beat Obi-Wan until, eventually A New Hope, which is debatable. He kind of gave himself over to the Force before he got, lightsabered. And overall, I think the show doesn't really ruin anything for the movies for me, or like the continuity of it. I think it does it really well, and it adds a little bit more to it that eventually gives the characters some understanding of why they say the things that they say. Like Obi-Wan telling Luke that his father died and Darth Vader killed him. Well, those are Anakin's words. He said that. He told Obi-Wan that, and he believes it, you know? And, oh, another great moment was when Obi-Wan is thinking about the time he spent with Leia and how Luke, he has to protect Luke and he has to be there for him and to save him and to train him. He has so much to live for, and he has Leia, who he also has to protect, and he's had interactions with her. He's traveled with her. He's shown her what it means to be a Jedi, and he wants to be there to make sure she lives a good life and she can be uh, just like her dad, so she can be work for good causes. And he can't do that if he's dead. So then he finds the strength and he force pushes the rocks off, and then he does that awesome pose where he's just kind of like sending all the rocks at Darth Vader, and the turn of the battle happens, and it was just really really fun, and it was some of the best fight I saw between um, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, because obviously in the older ones, they're both very old and they're just kind of stale uh, clashes of the lightsabers. But in this one, it was very, very cool to see them back and spinning and fighting and uh, watching them get in each other's faces. I thought that was really, really fun and really, really cool. And it was something that a lot of people wanted, and it's something that I wanted to see. But I kind of thought it was going to be something a lot different. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be Darth Vader, but you know, maybe he clashes with Darth Maul again or something. But obviously, that doesn't happen until later on, when Obi-Wan gets older. And the series as a whole, I give it maybe a 7.5, 7.5 out of 10. There's a lot that could be improved upon, um, just in terms of like, obviously, like when Leia gets kidnapped, I thought it was goofy how she was being chased, and it was just like really slow and whatever. And the villains could have been more thought out. I thought they were pretty much, they weren't all that interesting to me. The Inquisitor just kind of felt like whatever, and then there was that other bad guy, and then Riva, and it just kind of felt blah to me. I thought there could have been more at stake. I thought it was because when they were being chased by Darth Vader and the starship, and the refugees were trying to escape, I thought, okay, these are good stakes. These people could genuinely die. We don't know what happens to them. We know that Leia lives. We know that Obi-Wan lives, but we don't know about the rest of these people. They could genuinely die, and obviously they got away. Obi-Wan drove away Darth Vader, but some stuff like that. I thought there could have been something a lot more personal or a lot more at stake. But I did like that one Jedi reaching out to Obi-Wan for help, being like, "Hey, help me out here." And Obi-Wan's just kind of like, "No, no, I'm not gonna help you because keep your head down and you'll survive." And it was just such a complete twist and change in character. And how many other people have has he turned his back on because he hasn't been doing his job? He hasn't been Obi-Wan. He's been Ben. He's just been nothing. And so overall, I thought Ewan McGregor was great. I thought all the Darth Vader scenes were really interesting. They were some of my favorites to watch. I really enjoyed those the most. Um, Leia and Luke, they were kind of bland. The villains, other than Darth Vader, were pretty bland as well. And the supporting characters were good. I liked Tala, I liked the fake Jedi, and I liked the O'Shea. O'Shea, was that the name? I think that's his name. He's the actor from Straight Outta Compton. He's Ice Cube's son. He was also really good. So there's a lot to look forward to, and I kind of enjoyed it. Um, so overall, Obi Wan Kenobi, you have to go watch it on Disney Plus. I thought it was a really good show. Yeah, yeah, that's about that's about it. I was gonna say that in terms of like Star Wars, it really, when you're just like, if you're watching it from the Phantom Menace to Return of the Jedi, this show in quality really, uh I mean, obviously you can skip over it. You don't need to watch it, but if you if you want to, and if you are like binge watching the whole thing, it'll really come clear that this is something very unique and different, and obviously it's more modern, and I like it a lot. And it just adds some more characterization for Obi-Wan and for Darth Vader, and where they continue down in their stories. And I thought they did a really nice job with that. So I'm looking forward. I don't know if there's going to be a season two. I don't know what that kind of story would look like, or what it could possibly be. But if they do it, I'd watch it. I'm kind of interested to see what they would make, or other spin-offs of other things. And this is why I think it's so important to like maybe branch off from the original Star Wars stuff and kind of make something new with it, new characters, and maybe another war or something else. Because clearly 100%, we can't keep reliving in the past. We have to find new ground to walk on. And so that's kind of what I hope for the future of Star Wars. I thought the Star Wars visions that they posted on that they did on Disney Plus was nice. I don't know how much it was really all that impactful. I mean, the characters are kind of unique. They weren't all that great to me, but again, they were only like 15 minutes long. I thought they would have a lot more time to animate and create a broader story to do, or maybe connect them all, into like a whole series. But yeah, I'd like another animated Star Wars show. They already have, I think, two animated Star Wars shows, or three, because they have like the cartoon Star Wars, they have the Clone Wars, and they have Star Wars Rebels. I don't know if there's any more, but yeah, I'd like something a little more and different, you know, uh, based on the Star Wars premise, not necessarily from Skywalker or Obi Wan or the Inquisitors or something. I kind of wanted to focus on just new characters, a new storyline, a new plot. I think that that'll really benefit Star Wars, and it'll give them something new to work on. Kind of like you know, maybe maybe not like the comic book movies, not like the MCU or what DC is trying to do, but just trying to like make genuine, interesting stories off of the Star Wars premise and give us new and exciting characters to back it up. Will really like progress the franchise, because so far it's the new ones aren't all that all that great in my opinion. But I'm really excited for the future of Star Wars, and I think this is like the best time to be a Star Wars fan, because they're just now like catching up with like, yo, there's so much we could do with this. Let's really go dive deep into it. So yeah. So there's been another episode of the When Your Podcast. Forward to more Star Wars and more Disney Plus shows. There's a lot of great stuff just to kind of like look over and look back on. And yeah, so looking forward to maybe another Obi Wan season, and more Star Wars. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening, and have a great day.